Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at GitHub Copilot agents. For me personally as a coder, I often feel like I spend way too much time fiddling with tools and stuff instead of actually writing code. What if we had an AI that could understand your project and your tools, even like your company's specific setup, and just help you out?
Yeah, it's like having a super-powered coding buddy who just knows your whole development environment inside and out.
Okay, so how does this whole Copilot agents thing actually work? It's building on top of GitHub Copilot.
Yeah, so think of Copilot like the foundation. It's great at suggesting code, but these agents take it to the next level. They're hyper-focused on specific areas. And the cool part is you interact with them using the at symbol, almost like you're mentioning someone on social media.
So and then the name of the agent. What kind of agents are there?
Well, let's start with at workspace. This one's all about understanding your Visual Studio Code workspace. So it can access your project files, your settings, everything. Imagine being able to ask, hey, what's the current setting for my tab size? And it instantly pulls that information from your workspace config.
So no more gigging through settings files or trying to remember where that specific configuration lives.
Exactly. It becomes like a super efficient way to interact with your development environment.
Okay, that's the at workspace agent. What other specialized helpers are there?
Well, there's at terminal for all you command line wizards out there. This one's a beast when it comes to bash scripting, git commands, you name it. Think about being in the middle of a complex git rebase and needing to craft a specific command. Instead of scouring the web for the exact syntax, you could simply ask at terminal, how do I squash the last 3 commits into one?
Wait, it can actually understand what you're trying to do with Git
Yeah.
and then generate the correct command.
Yep. It understands natural language.
Yeah.
It's been trained on a massive data set of terminal commands and scripts.
That's next level stuff. I'm already seeing how this could save me hours of frustration.
And it doesn't just spit out the command, it actually pastes it into your VS Code terminal. Ready to execute, you just hit enter and boom, you're done.
That's incredible.
Oh,
Okay, what else? There's got to be more, right?
oh, there's definitely more. How many times have you found yourself frantically searching through VS Code's documentation or Stack Overflow for a specific feature or setting?
More times than I'd like to admit.
Well, say hello to at VS Code. It's like having a VS Code encyclopedia right at your fingertips. Got a question about key bindings, extensions, anything related to the editor itself, just ask at VS Code and it'll pull up the relevant information.
So it's not just about code completion. It's about having this deep knowledge of your entire development toolkit.
And then for all your GitHub needs, there's at GitHub. Need to quickly list all your private repos? Want to see who made the last commit to a specific file? Just ask at GitHub and it'll tap into your GitHub account and get you the information you need.
This add symbol pattern is really interesting. It feels super intuitive, like a natural way to communicate with these AI helpers.
It's a simple, consistent interface that can be applied across different domains. We're likely to see this pattern adopted more widely as AI becomes increasingly integrated into our workflows.
This all sounds incredibly exciting, but I'm also a bit wary. I mean, if we have AI doing so much for us, wouldn't there be a risk of becoming too reliant on these tools? Would we even need to know how to do things manually anymore?
That's a great question, and it's definitely something to consider. But I think the key here is to view these agents as partners, not replacements. They can handle the tedious tasks, the repetitive stuff, freeing us up to focus on the more complex, creative aspects of software development.
So they're like an extra pair of hands or an extra brain to help with the heavy lifting. But you're still the architect, the one making the decisions and driving the project forward.
Exactly. These tools can augment our abilities, but they can't replace the human element of software development.
All right, so we've covered some of these core agents, but I'm sure there's a lot more to unpack here. Can you give us a real-world example of how this all comes together?
Absolutely. There's a fascinating case study involving the at-terminal agent. It really showcases its power. It involves a developer who needed to generate a pretty complex git log command.
Perfect. Let's dive into that example in the next part of our deep dive. We'll see exactly how these Copilot agents can be used to tackle real-world coding challenges. Stay tuned.
All right, so let's unpack that at-terminal case study I mentioned. It perfectly illustrates how these agents can tackle real-world coding scenarios. Imagine you're digging through your Git history, trying to find specific commits from a particular contributor on a certain date.
Oh, I've been there.
Yeah.
Scrolling through pages of logs trying to decipher commit messages. Not fun.
Exactly. It's tedious and error-prone. But with the at-terminal agent, it becomes a breeze. So in this case study, the developer needed to generate a git log command to see all commits made by, let's say, John Smith on December 15th, 2023.
Okay, so pretty specific criteria. I'm guessing this would involve a fairly complex Git command.
You got it. Now, instead of racking their brain or resorting to Google, the developer simply typed @terminal into the Copilot chat panel, followed by the request in plain English. Show me all commits by John Smith on December 15th, 2023.
Wait, hold on. They didn't have to type out the actual Git command syntax? They just typed that request like they were talking to a human.
Yep, that's the power of these agents. They understand natural language. So the @terminal agent, which has been trained on a massive data set of terminal commands and scripts, was able to parse that request, understand the intent, and then generate the precise Git command needed.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. So what did the command look like?
The agent returned this. Git log author John Smith after 2023 1214 23.59.59 commit before 2023 1215 23.59.59 pound. Notice how it included those specific time boundaries to make sure it captured the entire day's worth of commits.
That's some seriously smart command generation. But wouldn't it be even more awesome if it actually ran the command for you?
You read my mind. That's exactly what it does. The @terminal agent automatically pastes the generated command into your VS Code terminal and even sets it up for execution. All you have to do is hit enter and you've got your Git log, neatly filtered to show only John Smith's commits from that specific day.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It's like having a Git expert on call 247. No more searching Stack Overflow, no more copy-pasting commands, just pure efficiency.
And it's not just Git commands. The @terminal agent can handle all sorts of complex scripting tasks, making you way more productive in the terminal.
It's really starting to sink in how these agents could completely change the way we work. But let's zoom out for a second. This add pattern, addressing these agents like you're mentioning someone, it feels like more than just a cool feature.
You're absolutely right. This pattern is likely to become like a standard way of interacting with AI, not just within GitHub, but across different platforms and applications.
It's like a universal language for talking to AI. So instead of having to learn a bunch of different syntaxes or interfaces, we could just use this simple agent symbol to access all sorts of AI-powered capabilities.
Exactly. It's a way to democratize access to AI, making it more accessible and intuitive for everyone, not just developers.
That's a really exciting thought. But I'm also curious, if these agents are so powerful, are there any downsides? What are some things we need to be cautious about?
That's an important question. While these agents hold incredible potential, it's crucial to remember they're still tools. And like any tool, they have limitations. We'll explore some of those potential pitfalls in the next part of our deep dive.
It sounds like a good place to pick up. Stay with us as we continue our exploration of GitHub Copilot agents, uncovering both their incredible capabilities and the important considerations to keep in mind as we enter this new era of AI-powered development. Okay, so we've talked about how these Copilot agents can really help us code better, but you mentioned some potential downsides too. What are some things we need to watch out for?
Well, one thing is that we might start relying on these agents too much. Like, it's so easy to just let them handle everything, especially those repetitive tasks that nobody likes doing.
Yeah, I get that. Why even bother trying to remember a Git command when you can just ask Git terminal?
Right, exactly. But the problem is we might start to forget some of our basic coding skills if we're always letting the agent generate code for us.
It's like always using a calculator. Eventually, you forget how to do math in your head.
Exactly. So it's all about finding that balance, using these agents to help us be more productive, but not letting them become a crutch. We still need to understand the code, the commands, and all the best practices.
So treat them like really smart assistants, not replacements for our own knowledge.
Exactly. Another thing to keep in mind is the quality of the code these agents produce. They're getting smarter all the time, but they're not perfect.
So they might still write code that has bugs or commands that don't work right.
It's possible, yeah. That's why it's so important to review the code they generate, just like we would if another person wrote it. Don't just trust it blindly. Test it, understand it.
Make sure it does what you want it to do.
Right. And also remember that these agents are always being updated. What might be a problem today could be fixed tomorrow. So stay informed, keep learning, and pay attention to what these agents can and can't do.
Got it. So it's a constantly evolving field.
Exactly.
It feels like we're at the beginning of something really big. Like these Copilot agents could totally change how we write code and build software.
And how we work with our tools, too.
This has been a really interesting deep dive into GitHub Copilot agents. I'm really curious to see how this technology develops and what it means for the future of software development.
Me too. It's an exciting time to be a developer.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. And as always, happy coding.